Looks like Candace Owens might be stepping up to the plate for a presidential run in 2024. The conservative commentator tweeted out over the weekend, quote, "I love America, thinking about running for president."
Okay, so what are her chances? According to Heath Mayo, we should not discount her proposition, given the fact that right now there's basically no real party, especially if Trump doesn't run. Democratic strategist Colin Rogero and senior congressional correspondent at the Daily Caller, Henry Rogers, they join us now. Henry, let's start with you. Might seem like a joke to many people in the commentariat, but you and I at least know where much of the conservative primary base comes from. I actually think she'd have a pretty good shot, and I know for a fact that there are a lot of billionaire donors who love Candace Owens. This is not in defense of those people. I'm just stating it as a fact.
Yeah, no, Candace Owens is beloved by many on the right. She is kind of like, a queen on the right for many. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think her voice has been very powerful throughout the last couple months. I think that she has been speaking about, criminal reform, issues that are important to many conservatives on the and people who are in the middle, kind of trying to get the black vote for Republicans. It's been very interesting to see over the last couple months, a couple years, I guess you could say. I think Keith is right. I think honestly, though, if she does enter the race, she enters with a high probability of a high percentage chance of possibly winning the race, which is crazy to say. But I mean, in 2016, when Donald Trump entered, I remember laughing about it, and then he won the presidency. So it's just bizarre. Outsiders are kind of the new thing, and I think she could possibly go somewhere in this race. I'm not throwing any support behind her, obviously not endorsing her in any way, but I'm just letting you know. It is a different world now politically, and she does have a chance, actually.
Colin, she's a grifter provocateur who, shamelessly supported and covered for Trump at every turn. So she does sound like kind of a perfect fit for the Republican Party.
Yeah, look, I think, picking up on what my colleague said, anyone who discounts someone's chances of running for president, especially with a sizable social media presence, has a short memory and doesn't remember 2016. I do. So I think she could be a potential candidate with the ability to pull some following and maybe actually win. The question will be when it comes down to leadership, does Candace Owens have any chops when it comes to leadership? Now, she's got a compelling story of how she got to where she is, right? She started as a Democrat. She supported Obama. Through dissatisfaction, she decided to move over and become a Republican. And I think there are a lot of people in the middle who used to be that way and said, hey, I didn't get what I wanted from this particular party. I'm going over here to someone else, particularly an outsider. So I think she's got a good, compelling story to start. I think, if she's up against people who have real leadership chops but are also equally conservative, she's going to have a little bit of a challenge there. But, compelling candidate will make it an interesting race if she decides to get in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think actually leadership matters, I'm going to be honest. And Henry, I mean, look, I don't really know if her voice has been, quote unquote, helpful or whatever. I think a lot of it has just been basically anything Trump says to give him a tongue bath. But, when you think about it, I mean, but that's actually what a lot of people on the right want. Let's be honest. I mean, especially whenever it comes to the primary base. And look, this is one thing. She's the provocateur. She doesn't care about the negative media attention. And as we learned with Trump, more negative media attention and more hatred by the liberal establishment translates to more votes within a GOP primary, which is why, like I said, I also know for a fact that there are a lot of people with a lot of money who back a lot of the stuff that she does. I actually think she could go quite far. And I mean, she has convinced an entire, generation of like boomer white donors that she's single-handedly transforming the black vote for a lot of Republicans. So look, that's a boomer whites. That's the GOP constituency, right?
No, I remember, I think it was probably a year ago. It was around the election. I remember people were genuinely like asking me or being like, who is Candace Owens? Who is she? Why? Like, she's amazing. She's great. I love everything she's saying. And it was all based off, you're right, social media provocateur type deal situations, her going on TV, basically repeating Donald Trump's lines, attacking the media, attacking, everyone basically, and making headlines. And it worked for her very well. And it's continued to work for her very well. So, I know she's been writing books, doing this, media, that. So I do not put it out of question. I don't put out, there's so many candidates right now who I'd be like, oh, in 2016, I would never consider them running. But now it's like, oh, there'd probably be a frontline candidate. It's a bizarre time we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to give people a sense if they haven't been following her, this is one of her more controversial, outrageous comments that she made about Hitler and nationalism. She says, Hitler was a National Socialist, but if he just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody speaking Germany. To me, that's not nationalism. And thinking about how we could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. So she's saying, like, the only problem with Hitler was that he wanted to take this thing. If he had just stayed in Germany, just oppressing and murdering the Jews in Germany, that would have been fine. Were basically the implications of her comments, just so people get the full context of who this individual is. And I mean, I do think, Colin, it's worth reflecting on, like, what it says about the GOP, what it says about Trumpism, that it's collapsed down to anyone who's willing to back Trump on every single issue is the person that they want to be the leader, is the person who has a shot in the Republican primary. It's not about any sort of policy, any sort of issue. It's not any of the sort of populist stuff that he ran on back in 2016. It's just purely collapsed down to Trump loyalty and provocation and, you know, being the person who's most hated by the left.
Yeah, look, I think we're still early on, and Trump is not a distant memory yet. Hopefully he will be in the future. We'll see what happens in the upcoming trial, although I don't have a whole lot of faith that he'll actually be convicted. You know, the farther away we get from Donald Trump and Donald Trump having the voice that he once had, the more difficult it is to just toe this Donald Trump line and be elected. And I actually think there's going to be some pushback there at some point in the future. And I don't think, you know, look, first of all, I think Candace Owens has built a brand for herself that she can sell. Good for her. This is America. She's made a business out of her political opinions. Nicely done. However, if she's on stage against a Nikki Haley, there's really no competition in who can actually run the country if you're a Republican and who can actually maybe win in a general election, which people do take calculus on. And I don't want to say that, you know, people are just going to vote for her blindly. That's not true. The combination of them both being on stage, though, I think, regardless of the crazy things she has said, is a good thing for the Republican Party because it shows a lot of diversification. And again, Republicans don't need to win all the black vote or the Latino vote. They just need to peel off certain portions of it. And I think the Democrats have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, that is true. Henry and I are laughing because we both know Candace would crush Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki Haley is like the most overrated politician in the country.
Okay.
Not saying a lot.
All right,
anyway.
Stick with us. Steve Rising back right after this.